Thinking that money can actually solve your financial problems is like showing up to a knife fight with an experienced swordsman and somehow believing that just because you're going to bring more knives or more swords, that's going to give you the edge over that particular swordsman. Guess what? Because they've been doing that all their lives. They're going to just use all the knives against you and slice you up in small pieces, and before you know it, you're going to go home completely naked and embarrassed. Alright? Instead of focusing on more money in order to address your financial problem, let me just give you a simple technique, a 3-step technique that can help you address all these issues. Alright? Stay with me until the very end. Dimitri here. Let's get right into it. Cause and effect. A faulty programming cannot give you the right solution as far as whatever you're dealing with is concerned. Because whatever you're dealing with is basically provoked or triggered by the faulty program that you have, the faulty programming that you have in your head. But what most of us do is we believe that yes, I understand that this is the cause, the effect is here, but now for me to address the effect of what I'm dealing with right now, I need to find more effect. So I need to go borrow more money in order for me to address the lack of financial acumen, the lack of financial education, literacy I have in my head. And this is what normally happens in countries, most Western countries. So people who don't really have the proper skills when it comes to financial literacy, they will say to themselves, I'm working and the little I'm making is not enough to cover my needs. It's not enough to address my issues. So therefore, I run into financial problems. So what do I need? I need to actually get more effect. I need to go borrow more money. But if I go to the traditional banks, they will say to me, no, you don't have good credit. You don't have X, Y, Z. So therefore, you have to basically go turn to your community. But unfortunately, your community is also a community of broke people. So what most people end up doing is they simply now go to the banks subsidiaries. They will go to all these places that actually focus on advance on your payday. So you pay their loan. So you go to these people and simply say, yes, I work for company XYZ and here's X money I make on a monthly basis or every 2 weeks. So I would like to borrow X amount of money. They will simply say, oh yeah, we can help you. And because in a mind they're saying, yes, this guy doesn't know how to play with knives, but he's coming towards swordsman in order for him to get somehow an advantage over whatever he's dealing with. We're going to lend you some money. And guess what? They will lend you plus some money, and 9 times out of 10, what will happen is this institution will end up making more money than actually lend to you. Why? Because they know the system more than you do. You're going to say to yourself, yes, I'm going to borrow money. I'm not going to pay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change it. I'm going to go to the bank and ask them to block this particular institution from taking money from my bank. But guess what? They are much smarter than you. They may be coming as one name when you sign a document, but they have different names under which they go by when it comes to their corporation. They're going to use different names and still take money from you. And before you know it, you will have actually pay more money. You will actually borrow from them. Again, why? Because you cannot fight an effect with another effect. If you want to properly address some type of effect in your life, you have to look at the cause. And the cause usually is faulty thinking. Faulty thinking. I'll give you just 3 examples, and I'm going to go to the particular principle that you have to apply when it comes to how to address your financial problems right now. 3 examples. In 1971, Bob Marley, Bunny Wallace, and Peter Tosh, they find themselves in Sweden, Stockholm, because there was this big project with Johnny Nash to be part of the soundtrack they were putting together for a movie. After working with John Nash for quite a long time, eventually they were able to produce something. The movie was actually released, but it opened on one day, and after that the movie was actually closed. Then basically they found themselves completely stranded in Stockholm with no money. Bob Marley goes to London with his buddies, and they start looking around to see if there was anyone who could actually help him with whatever he was looking for in order for him to go back to Jamaica. And eventually he finds Chris Blackwell, and Chris Black agrees to give the money to go home. And that was 1972 to produce an album. And an album was actually produced under the name Catch a Fire. But as the album was released, Chris Blackwell simply now sits them down for a one-on-one coaching. He says to them, you have the money, you produce the album. Your money was actually meant to produce the album. But in order for this album to sell, now we have to simply find a way to help you rewire your brains. Because you can't just have a product and believe people are going to buy. It's not gonna work. It doesn't work like this in this particular world. So we have to rewire your brain so you start seeing yourself as the royalty that you are. And make people aware of your brand, and with that, eventually this thing gonna be selling. But until then, it's not gonna sell, because you know what? Money cannot fix financial problem. You need to go to the source and start addressing the cause. Example number one. Example number two. In 1976, so about 4 years from there, 1976, in America, more specifically in Catskill, New York, young Mike Tyson is brought before the legendary Costamato. And Bobby Stewart, the social worker that was looking after Mike Tyson, explained to Costamato that Mike Tyson was the next big thing. Otherwise, he knew how to use his fist in the ring. Costamato said, yes, I'm going to have to see that. So get in the ring and show me what he can do. He get in the ring with Bobby Stewart, used to be a professional boxer back in the days, in his early days. Bobby Stewart, of course, manhandled Mike Tyson. But there's something really peculiar about Mike Tyson. He kept coming back for more. Even with a bloody nose, he kept coming back, and he will not back down from the fight. So the ferocity of his presentation led Costamato to simply say it himself, turning to Ted Adler, simply says, I think we have a young contender here. We're going to have to keep him and teach him how to basically address the cause in order for him to now have the proper argument in the ring. What did they do? They agreed now to coach Mike Tyson. And it took them only about 9 years to take this unpolished young fighter into a contender who was going to go on to now become a champion 9 years later in 1985. Why? Because Costamato simply said now to the young Mike Tyson, all this argument that you have in the ring, this physical attribute that you have, it's fine, but that's not how you're going to win the argument in the ring. You have to simply now polish your thinking and to be aware of the fact there is a crown that you need to actually pay attention to. And as the crown is properly attended to, you're going to slowly but surely start adopting a different behavior, and that behavior is going to turn you into a monster in the ring, and basically the key that you are so designed to be as far as boxing is concerned. Mike Tyson got into training with Costamato and Teddy Atlas still as a teenager, but because the methodical Costamato had infused so much science into the boxing arena that he was in charge of, he turned the young teenager into a dangerous monster, to the point where by the time the young man turned 17, not even 18 and 17 only, so 5 years later, the young man had built a quite impressive persona in the ring. And not only that, but also he sculpted for himself the body of an absolutely dangerous boxer. How do we know that? Because some of the people I used to spar with him, one of them told a story. He says, one day I'm introduced to the young Mike Tyson, and we're actually chatting. He's wearing basically sweatpants and basically cover himself, so I don't really see much. In the morning, we go running together, and I see that, yes, he's just a teenager. So that was okay. But in the afternoon, when we go for our session, as we walk into the gym, I see a bus of older people between 25 and 35, seasoned fighters who've been in the ring for quite a long time. They're coming up the bus and getting to the gym as if they were going to a dungeon where they're going to be tortured. I said to myself, this is odd, because the only person that we're sparring with is this young Mike Tyson I saw on the road. So why are they looking so downcast? But by the time they got into the gym and he saw Mike Tyson shadowboxing, and he saw for the first time Mike Tyson without any clothes on, basically just wearing the short and basically just showing his physical attributes, the young man was now terrified. He simply says, he may be 17, but this man was indeed an absolutely dangerous person, because just through shadowboxing I could tell that his skills were now on a different level, and just by his body size, his neck size, I could tell that this was indeed a king in his kingdom that we're going to have to deal with. And that was basically how Mike Tyson came to become the champion in 1985, so barely 9 years after his first encounter with Constantine. Let me just end with the final example. In 1795, another young man demonstrated the ability to change things by focusing not so much on your money problems, by focusing on the cause. Napoleon Bonaparte, 1795, is broke. His family has no ink of nobility in them. At the height of revolution, when many other people are actually reigning and dictating the norm as far as the new regime is concerned, the young officer, Napoleon Bonaparte, said to himself, I have money problem, but I don't know how I'm going to deal with them. But he meets a young girl, Joséphine de Beauharnais, otherwise known as Marie-Thérèse Rose-Tacherie de la Pagerie. And he falls in love with her. But she used to be the mistress of Napoleon Bonaparte, one mentors by the name of Barras. So he goes to Barras and says, I'm in love with this young woman and I would like to marry her. Barras said to himself, after all, I have no desire to do anything serious with this young girl, so you can be with her, so I'll give him my blessing. So they become one, and the two of them start devising plan to actually take over the world. But the first thing they say is, we have now to start seeing ourselves as head of states. We have now to start feeling that yes, we are basically the final frontier as far as France is concerned. And guess what? It took them barely 9 years to go from a place of obscurity to becoming now the Emperor and Empress of France in 1804. 9 years between 1795 and 1804. 9 years from 1976 to 1985 for Mike Tyson, and a few months for this legendary artist by the name of Bob Marley and the Wailers from 1972 until he passed away in 1981. He made history. Why? Because of the following now principle I'm going to share with you. If you've been enjoying this video, please make sure to share it with as many people as possible, and of course don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that next time we put together a video you can be amongst the first one to see it. Alright, now back to our presentation. The principle is simply the following. AAP. A stands for what? Awareness. You have to become aware of the fact there is indeed a crown on your head. Most people spend their lives completely ignorant of the fact there is a crown on their head. If you call them king or queen and say, oh no, why, what kind of craziness is this? Because they've been so conditioned to believe that I am nobody. So whatever crown you're talking about, it does not belong to me. I don't even know what you're talking about, because when I look myself in the mirror, all I see is a nobody. That most people. But when you start working with a coach, or mentor, who knows how to think properly, they're going to help you simply recondition your thinking to come back to a place where you don't fight an effect with another effect, but you fight an effect with a cause. You're going to have to go back to the mirror and simply become once again aware of the crown on your head. And that's exactly what happened in 1972. Went through a chance encounter. Bob Marley had now the chance to sit down with his producer, Chris Blackwell, to simply say, yes, now you got the money, now you got the album Catch a Fire, but in order for you to go out there and conquer the world, you really have to see yourself now as exactly the man that you are, and you are a king. Same thing for Mike Tyson, and same thing for Napoleon Bonaparte. Again, the first step is you have to become aware of the crown on your head. Number two, Second A stands for adjustment. You have to adjust that crown because that crown more than likely it might be either crooked or out of place. So you have to adjust the crown and put it exactly where it's supposed to be so that everyone around you can see that yes, there is now a king, there is now a queen in the room, and this king and this queen is so aware of who they are. So you have to adjust the crown. And last but not least, P, you have to polish the crown. You have to polish the crown so much that it can actually shine for everyone in the room to see that yes, there's not just a king who's actually aware of the crown on her head. There's not just a queen who's aware of the crown on her head, who's adjusting the crown, but also we're taking the time to present themselves in the best way possible because this crown is shining, has been polished by someone who knows exactly the identity. Once you start doing that, my friend, what's going to happen is slowly but surely something's going to change. You're going to become so much that monarch, that king or queen, that your behavior is going to change. And soon before you know it, what's going to happen is you're going to now possess everything that's going to be consistent with your identity and your behavior. Again, the principle is but in simpler terms, as far as coaching is concerned, I'll simply say AAP: awareness, adjustment, and polish. All right, much love, everyone. Thanks again for watching. Looking forward to sharing more of you in the days to come. Until then, take good care, and remember, you have to remain intentional. Be aware of the crown in your head, adjust it and polish it. Take good care. I'm out.